This is the Becoming Muslim podcast at untoislam.com, the show that helps people convert to Islam with hosts from the US, UK, and Australia.
Yeah, I might have had the nicest haircut in the party. I might have had a lot of cash in my pocket and other things that I won't mention. I had a drink in my hand in every other picture, but I was depressed. I was not happy. It was a mask. I was wearing a mask. It was all fake. President, I say that because I, brother, was a typical product, a product of my environment in the inner city Chicago, the northwest side of Chicago, just being a product of my environment. I was involved with music, astaghfirullah, at a very, 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 very young age. I kind of lived that lifestyle since I was maybe 13 all the way up until probably my mid-20s. My brother Warren, he's been in my life since I was 14 years old, but I remember calling him one night, 17 years old, and I called him up. I'm like, Warren, it's time. I need to make something happen. I noticed, even at that age, where I was headed, I felt it in my soul, just the path that I was headed, and I needed some kind of clearance. I needed some kind of comfort, and I called my brother. From my mom's house, and we went straight to the mosque. Literally my first time in masjid, in a mosque. As soon as I walked in, I'll never forget the beautiful hospitality, the beautiful people in there, gentle faces, the most gentle faces you can possibly imagine. I was just captivated by the hospitality alone. And I walked in, and there was no hesitation. We followed through, and I took my shahada. You know, it just, from that point on, I knew that Islam was the way for me. You know, it's so wild thinking about it now. At 29, if only my father knew the peace and the beauty of Islam, if only I would have had his support at that age. But everything was willed by Allah.
Yeah.
So I will not question any of it. We must keep in mind that Islam ruled in Spain for 8 centuries. This is very, very important. So this technically means that Latinos, every single Latino, because what is a Latino's native tongue? Because the Latino, is a mix of everything. We have the Indian, the African, Spaniard, okay? But what do Latinos speak? Espanol, Spanish. So we are technically descendants of Islam. I'd say the best advice that I received in my life was just to communicate with your creator. Have a relationship with your creator. A lot of things will happen in this life where you'll be strayed away. There's many times growing up that I was strayed away from Islam, strayed away from God. It definitely feels like a jackpot. I'm 29 and it's, I've only been here for 3 months, but, compared to any night that you could possibly think of on stage in a recording studio with some of the biggest artists you can think of in America, this is by far, this tops any of that. This is the greatest experience in my entire life. And And may Allah keep us all steadfast, Brother Cedric.
Assalamu alaikum, dear listeners of the podcast. Today, for our new episode of Becoming Muslim, we are receiving Ivan, or Ivan, no, Ivan. I think that's the way you pronounce Ivan, you said. And we'll start with a few words of introduction for Ivan. So Ivan converted in 2009. He's been converted to Islam or reverted to Islam for 2 years now. 12 years. 12 years, not 2 years.
Yes, correct.
Alhamdulillah. He's 29 years of age. He's originally from Chicago in USA, Illinois, I'm guessing.
Yes.
Currently living in Cairo, in Egypt. His job or expertise is in internet sales. His hobbies is creating, writing, and history. He's passionate about learning Islam, Latino/Black history. He's currently studying Arabic and the Quran. And a statement from him that we asked for the intro. So he told us that Islam is perfect, not the Muslim, which I agree with. May Allah keep us steadfast. So how are you even today?
Alhamdulillah, Brother Cedric. I really appreciate the opportunity here. We did a little networking recently, and I do appreciate the opportunity, Brother Cedric. Sincerely, I appreciate it, my brother. Yes.
No problem. We appreciate having you here, especially that it's 8 a.m. for you, so it's really early on your Sunday morning. So thanks for accommodating me. Here in Australia, in Melbourne, it's like 4 p.m. So yeah, it's a bit harder on you. So really appreciate it. So let's start. Let's start with the question. So I'd like to start to know, like, what led you to Islam? What's the story?
Sure. So I guess before we get started, I'd like to mention a few things. Astaghfirullah for my past, and Alhamdulillah for the present. Kind of going back to the statement here, Brother Cedric. Islam is perfect, not the Muslim. I believe that, like many Muslims out there, across the board, you can be born Muslim, new Muslim. We're always going to be a work in progress. And I just want to start off with saying here, astaghfirullah for my past, alhamdulillah for the present here, Brother Cedric. So we started off like this. I remember going to church with mom and dad, very, very young, maybe 7 or 8 years old. And I had many, many, many questions, Cedric, many questions. A lot of people in my church would look like my father, would look like my mother. Everyone in my church is brown pigmentation. Everybody in my church is black pigmentation, people of color. But I would notice that the prophets, peace be upon Prophet Isa, I would notice that the prophets on the wall would have the blue eyes and the blonde hair. So I had many, many questions at a very young age. Why is it that?
We're talking about Jesus. When you say Isa, I'm just translating for people that we're talking about Jesus. Yes.
That is correct. Yes. Prophet Isa, we are referring to, and many know as Jesus, correct.
Yeah.
So I remember being very young, Brother Cedric, and just looking around and just everyone in my church looking like me and my father. People of color. And I'd look at the walls and I would see Caucasian people. I was very curious as to why that was. And I would ask my mother, I would ask my father, I would ask the people around me, why are we not on the walls, but we're here praising these people on the walls? And naturally, I studied a little bit of psychology, Brother Cedric. Naturally, what people do when they don't know the answer, they get defensive. So when I would ask these questions, they would get very defensive and ask me, why am I questioning God? So I knew right then and there that I had to figure out some things on my own. So around that time, I'd say the early 2000s, it was pretty common for a computer with some internet to be in the lower income, middle class neighborhoods in the family home. So I remember going home and doing my little research as to what is the original? What is the first? What is the original religion? Things like that.
Mm-hmm.
And I came across many articles as a youngster about Islam. And from that point, it captivated me very, very young. And eventually got introduced to the Malcolm X. May Allah be pleased with that brother Malcolm X. Big icon, big role model here in America. And Brother Cedric, it captivated me at a very, very, very young age. And, it started off from that point. And the older that I got, I ran into more brothers of Islam, and they continued to spread the dawah, and it led on from that point. So it captivated me at a very, very young age, very young.
Interesting.
Mashallah.
Yeah, mashallah. Yeah, Malcolm X is really not like a bad model to have. Such a brilliant man. So I think we can agree on this, definitely.
Alhamdulillah, absolutely. Yes.
So at which point did you formally make your shahada? Talk to me about it. What led you to this moment, and how was this moment was?
Sure. So Brother Cedric, I'll be completely honest. Kind of like when I started off this whole thing here with the podcast and just everything. Stuck for the love of the past and alhamdulillah for the present. I say that because I, brother, was a typical product of my environment in the inner city Chicago, the northwest side of Chicago, just being a product of my environment. And I was involved with music, astaghfirullah, at a very, 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 very young age. And I kind of lived that lifestyle since I was maybe 13 all the way up until probably my mid-20s, astaghfirullah. And, I'm very addicted to the dunya. You can imagine the kind of lifestyle that comes with that, brother. My brothers and sisters out there listening, you guys can all imagine what might come with the lifestyle of the music. And I remember, brother, I was 17 back in 2009. I won't dissect too much, but I did get into a little bit of some troubles, some legal issues at 17 years old. And a lot of times we reach out to the Creator. We reach out to God when we hit a breaking point in life. A lot of people do that. We tend to forget Allah. We tend to forget God. A lot of times when things are going brilliant, but when we hit a rough patch in life is when a lot of people reach out to their Creator. So I remember being 17. Now, mind you, I was already studying the word of Islam. I remember being 17 years old, and I ran into a situation where I got into some legal troubles. And I didn't know what was going to happen to myself. I was facing some problems with the system. They were talking, possible jail time. We'll be as sincere as we can. Possible jail time at 17 years old, and I was not even 18. I wasn't even 18 yet. So it scared me.
Yeah.
I wasn't prepared. So I remember calling a close friend of mine, a close brother of mine, and to this day, alhamdulillah, we are in contact. He is the reason. This brother I'm speaking about is the reason why I am in Cairo, Egypt today. I want to give a shout out to my brother Waris, my brother Warith. He's been in my life since I was 14 years old, but I remember calling him one night, 17 years old, and I called him up. I'm like, Warith, it's time. I need to make something happen. I noticed even at that age where I was headed. I felt it in my soul, just the path that I was headed, and I needed some kind of clearance. I needed some kind of comfort, and I called my brother. I told him it was time. So he dropped everything he was doing. This was in 2009, middle of the night, and he picked me up. I want to say right before Isha. This probably would have been right before Isha. Isha is the last prayer.
Okay. Yeah.
We have 5 prayers, alhamdulillah, and Isha is the very last prayer. So this probably was right before Isha. And he dropped everything he was doing, guys, and he picked me up from my mom's house. And we went straight to the mosque. And literally my first time in masjid, in a mosque. And as soon as I walked in, I'll never forget the beautiful hospitality, the beautiful people in there, gentle faces, the most gentle faces you can possibly imagine. Everyone's sitting down in the most humble of a way. And I'm in there, with I think we wore the basketball jerseys back in the day. I had a basketball jersey and I was just captivated by the hospitality alone. And I walked in and there was no hesitation. We followed through and I took my shahada. And, it just, from that point on, I knew that Islam was the way for me. I remember finishing my shahada and the brother asking me, do you have a name in mind? I'm like, what do you mean? He's like, well, we need to give you an Arabic name. And I told him, I have a name in mind. And I'll never forget, there was a young brother, younger than me, maybe 9 years old.
Mm-hmm.
All I remember is a sweet, gentle face, a sweet, brown, gentle face, Arabian kid. And alhamdulillah, he looks at me and gives me the biggest smile in the world. They all know me by brother Ivan. And then he's like, Ayman. And he was sitting probably next to his grandfather. And I'll remember that for the rest of my life because he was so happy, and I stuck with that name. So my Arabic name is Ayman, obviously similar to Ivan. In Spanish, it's Ivan, and that's pretty much what led to that. Took my shahada at 17 years old, and the rest was history. Obviously, got sidetracked in his dunya, but alhamdulillah. I came right back to the word, and that's pretty much what started off everything, Brother Cedric.
That's awesome. That's a really great story, and I really like the like in some time, like in Allah is doing things in way that are really like all the time, should I say? But when we take notice, and sometimes it's just really doing things in a way that are like amazing. Like, he gives you your name through like a 9-year-old kid, that's beautiful. I love this. That's such a great story. So what I want to know now, because, okay, so you explained to us like how you get to do your shahada, but you also explained to me that you pretty much grew up as a Christian. What kind of church like was it? Because, there's different denominations. So what kind of a church were you from?
Yeah. So let's backtrack a little bit. I wouldn't say Christian. Catholic.
Catholic. Okay.
Is what? Sure. Is what the majority of even Latino Hispanics are. The majority of them of us are Catholic.
Yeah.
And to this day, all my family, the majority of my family are Catholic or Christian. And growing up in Chicago, mom and dad never wanted us in the public school system for their reasons. And, if anyone out there is familiar with the city of Chicago, they can imagine why. Not wanting their kids in a public school system in the inner city of Chicago. So
can you like, I'm so sorry to cut you off, but can you explain to me, because I think some people, because there's probably people from all around the world listening, so they might not know the context, so just develop about the context, like what's happening in public school in Chicago.
Understood. So unfortunately, Chicago, goodness gracious, Chicago is a beautiful, beautiful city, but we have a lot of work to do as a community, as a people. There are definitely a lot of lost souls in Chicago. We need more guidance in Chicago with the youth. Chicago, Illinois has a rich history with gang violence and drug violence, and they did everything they could my parents to keep us out of the public school system.
Okay.
I remember briefly being 5 years old, 6 years old, and I believe we went to an orientation one time for like a elementary or middle school in Chicago. And I walked in with my mother, and my mother is very, what's the word? She's an empath. So she feels the energy right away. And we walked in. Now I'm a kid, 5, 6 years old. And I clearly remember we walked in, we were probably in there for 10, 15 minutes. And she had a sudden rush, panic. And she just like, I cannot have my kids coming to this school. And we walked directly out of that orientation and immediately was signed up for what they call a Catholic school. And may Allah guide my parents for that's all they knew.
Amen.
Amen. And immediately signed us up for Catholic school. So yeah,
okay.
They tried their best. Yeah, to keep that around.
Okay. So this gonna lead me to my next question actually.
Sure.
Of course, so you had like this, kind of a trajectory when you got closer and closer to Islam, and then it was in your heart and you reverted to Islam. So what's the situation, or how was the situation with your family? Because I'm guessing Latino, they're very religious, Catholic. So that must, like, how did things happen? What's your relationship with them? How did they deal with the fact that you became Muslim? Did you tell them?
Understood. So, excuse me. I remember I was, we probably left the city of Chicago. I was maybe 10 years old, and we moved somewhere nearby. And I remember right around the puberty age, maybe 13 years old, 14 years old, is when I was introduced to the great Malcolm X. May Allah be pleased with Malcolm X. And absolutely captivated me. For those who are not familiar with Malcolm X, please look into Malcolm X. He was born in Omaha, Nebraska. Was not a Muslim. Was definitely a product of his environment as well. Got into some legal issues, but I was just captivated by his story, Brother Cedric. And pretty much, looking into his story is what inspired me to want to dress, present, do everything like a Muslim. So although I didn't take my Shahada, I would want to present myself at a very young age, 13, 14, to be a Muslim. So I remember walking around my middle school, walking around my home with the kufi and a Quran and some fake reading. I had fake reading glasses. They were fake. I think I stole them from my grandfather. And I wanted to be like Malcolm X. And may Allah forgive my father. My parents are directly from Mexico. They met in Chicago, and my father did not know how to react. And when he noticed that I was, it's so wild thinking about it now. At 29, if only my father knew the peace and the beauty of Islam, if only I would have had his support at that age. But everything was willed by Allah.
Yeah.
So I will not question any of it. But it wasn't the best of a reaction from my father. My father was very, we won't dissect too much, but my father was very confused and against it. And it certainly left a stain in our relationship and the upbringing. My father did exactly what he could. He did all he could, bringing us up as children. And I will never disregard any of that. I just wish that things could have played out a bit different with Islam and his approach. But like I mentioned, brother, it was willed, it happened, and fast forward, here I'm pushing 30 years old. I'm 29 years old now, and I'm my own man. I'm still fighting certain things in this dunya. But we're at a point now, Brother Cedric. It's my trajectory. It's all by Allah, but it's my life. And my father has to accept, and he does accept, and he sees the change in me. Just wish things sometimes were a little bit different. I can't be the only Muslim that feels like that. His approach was not the greatest at the time, and may Allah forgive my father and guide my father to Islam.
Amen. That's all we can ask for. So what about your mom, the rest? If you have, I don't know if you have siblings that didn't ask you the question, and what about your friends, like that were not in Islam? How did you?
Yeah.
Did they react?
Yeah, my friends were, me growing up, I'll tell you what, growing up in Chicago, at a young age, my neighborhood was super diverse. I mean, we had Europeans, we had Blacks, we had Dominicans, Puerto Ricans, Mexicans, Polish, Italians, everything. It's a beautiful melting pot in the city of Chicago. So I carried that everywhere I went with me in this life until this day. I get along with across the board. So I had a variety of acquaintances, a variety of friends growing up in this dunya, and I never had any backlash. In all sincerity, I never had any backlash. I've always been, alhamdulillah, I definitely get the sauce from my mother. I mean, I get it from mom, 1,000,000%, everything. But I never had the backlash, brother. I had nothing but support. If anything, I do wish I could have had maybe more Muslim friends growing up. Like I'd mentioned, I was in the music for a very, very, very long time. And that was the majority of what I was associated with as far as friends and acquaintances that were kind of around the music stuff. Never had any negative backlash. The times that I would run into the Muslim brothers, they were captivated at the fact that a young, urban Mexican brother was a Muslim, alhamdulillah. And I will never forget their reactions until this day. I can think of 5 brothers that just gave me the stare for 30 seconds in joy, just not understanding how that happened. And I like to say this, brother Cedric, I didn't find Islam. Islam found me. And it just, it was a beautiful thing. When the Muslim brothers found out that I was looking into Islam, that I took my shahada, it was absolutely, it was a warm feeling. It was absolutely amazing. It was absolutely amazing. Alhamdulillah, brother.
Alhamdulillah, man. That's great. That's great to hear. And it's great that you're telling me all these things, because I had a question, and I'm pretty sure that you're the right person to ask this question too. So I've mentioned at the beginning of the podcast that you were like kind of passionate into by the Black history and Latino history, and obviously you're Muslim, so you're also passionate about Islam. We're gonna talk soon about why you're in Cairo and all this, but I'm hearing that Islam is really progressing a lot in South America. Is it something you can confirm?
Alhamdulillah, we can confirm 1,000,000%. These are statistics that are 1,000,000% accurate. We have cited sources all over the internet, and these sources are not the Facebook memes. These are actual statistics, and alhamdulillah, we must keep in mind, brother Cedric, that Islam ruled in Spain for 8 centuries. This is very, very important. So this technically means that Latinos, every single Latino, because what is a Latino's native tongue? Because the Latino, is a mix of everything. We have the Indian, the African, the Spaniard, okay? But what do Latinos speak? Espanol, Spanish. So we are technically descendants of Islam. We are descendants of Islam, and it's up for candidates like myself, brothers like yourself with platforms like this, for us to work together as Muslims, as brothers, to spread this knowledge out. This is a fact. South America is most certainly converting, and we are the highest demographic in America. And we might even be more than just America, but we are the highest minority that is converting to Islam. Latinos are the fastest growing minority converting to Islam in America. Alhamdulillah. And these are facts.
Alhamdulillah, yes. Man. That's great. That's great to hear. That's really, really great to hear. Now I want to be like a bit more detailed and going back into like, your lifestyle as a Muslim. And especially around the time, like, that you really converted. So what would you say were because obviously Islam brings change into people's lives. So what would you say it was the easiest thing to change? And of course, you don't have to change everything. I'm saying this for people listening to us. It doesn't mean that you have to change all your life, but it's a process. So anything that's probably not good, we'll try to change, and everything that was already good is going to get better. So what do you think was easy to change, and what was more difficult or more challenging in your case?
I would say probably the easiest thing to change was, I guess, holding back. I didn't have to hold back anymore from telling people that I'm Muslim. My whole life, I've been unapologetic. Well, since I've been studying the Islam, I've been very unapologetic with it, very open with it, not shy about it. Obviously, I told you the story about me walking around trying to be the Mexican Malcolm X in my school, and it is what it is. It happened, and since the very beginning, Allah knows best. Very unapologetic with it. So I'd say the easiest part was finally not holding back and letting the world know that this is me. This is who I am. Alhamdulillah, may Allah keep me steadfast. I will be honest, I won't dissect too much. I'm sure the listeners can have an idea. Maybe later on in the future, when I have more opportunities, we can get into details. But being addicted in the dunya, being in the music life, it comes with XYZ. So letting go of that lifestyle has not been the easiest for me. To this day, I fight it. I did, alhamdulillah, may Allah keep me steadfast. I did stop drinking, and that this is a big accomplishment. This is incredible. But in that life, with the music stuff, it involves all of that, you can only imagine. And even being Mexican, a lot of the Mexicans, they enjoy the culture. They drink the tequila. They do that stuff. So kind of being around it, it's not easy. Yeah. Performing every other day on stage at a young age, being exposed to that lifestyle, it overtook. And I tell you what, a few days ago, I get on my Instagram, and inshallah, I'll start tweeting this stuff out very soon. I get on my Instagram a few days ago, and I'm looking through my old pictures, and I couldn't help but I almost had an anxiety attack. I'm looking at my older pictures, Brother Cedric. Yeah, I might have had the nicest haircut in the party. I might have had a lot of cash in my pocket and other things that I won't mention. I had a drink in my hand in every other picture, but I was depressed. I was not happy. It was a mask. I was wearing a mask. It was all fake. And I can say that on this audio. Inshallah, I will say this on more tests. It was fake. I was numbing myself because I truly was not happy. And it made me very, very sad to know that I was living like that, but like I mentioned, I've stopped drinking. I'm addicted to my Starbucks and my Dunkin' Donuts, and that's the way to go. My Muslim brothers and sisters, stick to the chai tea, stick to the coffee, but that poison is not the way to go. And I would definitely say, Brother Cedric, the hardest part was probably just to let go of what that lifestyle brought when it came to that stuff, when it came to XYZ. You can only imagine what comes with that lifestyle. So we'll just kind of say that, and may Allah keep me steadfast, Brother Cedric. It's been a journey.
Inshallah. Amen. So thinking about it, like since the time you're really starting to, practice and of course, nobody's perfect. We all have, like our issues, and this life is a test at the end of the day. So, it's fine. What do you think would be the best advice someone gave you? And what would be the worst advice someone gave you, as far as you remember in your journey into Islam, or even after this?
Well, I'd say probably the worst advice. We hear it a lot.
Yep.
We hear it a lot. You only live once. No. We live every day. Alhamdulillah.
Yeah.
Another day I haven't even slept. I'm waking up. I was thinking at first to step outside and do the interview, but if you know Cairo, Egypt has 11 million people. These people are up early out there, and there's no way you would have heard me. You would have heard goats, horses, and cars in the background. It just wouldn't have worked. So I'm inside my room right now with my cat. Her name is Bakra, and if for those who know, Bakra means cow in Arabic because she looks like a little cow. So I'd say probably that, just hearing that was at the time I didn't realize, but now I'm like thinking to myself, that's not the greatest advice you can give to someone. We live every day. We wake up, we live and have a chance to live and make ourselves a better Muslim, a better human, a better man than we were the day before. Every day we live. You don't just live once. Tell you what, you die once. That's one thing that is guaranteed in this dunya. And Allah knows best. And the quote from the Quran, and astaghfirullah if I get it incorrect, but I'm sure I'm on point. Every soul will taste death. And this is a fact. Every soul will taste death. So if we want to talk once, okay, we can do that. Death is once. We will die once, and that will be it. We live every single day. I'd say the best advice that I received in my life was just to communicate with your creator, have a relationship with your creator, and a lot of things will happen in this life where you'll be strayed away. There's many times growing up that I was strayed away from Islam, strayed away from God. And, the best kind of advice that I've ever received in my life was just to keep a relationship with your creator. If you feel your iman falling, go and drink some water and read and pick up the book, pick up the Kitab, pick up the Quran and start reading. Listen to a lecture. Have a relationship with your creator. If you're missing your salah, why are you missing your salah? Question yourself. Make dua. Have a relationship with your creator. It's probably the best advice that I've heard and the best advice that I can give out there to my beloved brothers and sisters.
I can agree 100% with this advice. And it's funny also when you mention like Cairo, like I think I can relate to Cairo because I was in Cairo last year. So my wife is Egyptian. My wife is Egyptian, so we went.
Awesome.
I always wanted to visit like Egypt, and she's been to Egypt. She's like her family is really Egyptian. So we did like a lot of cities, Cairo, like Hurghada, like Luxor, Aswan. We did all this, and Cairo is definitely hectic, but it's so funny. So I think that's another great transition for you to explain to me. How did you land in Cairo? Like what happened from Chicago to Cairo? Like it's amazing. So what's the story?
Oh my goodness. How do I? Okay. Well, we'll be honest. We'll be sincere here. Okay. Well, my whole life I kind of bounced around. Always kept a job. I was never really stable, and living on different couches, different family members, different friends, and, bouncing everywhere. I got into a bit of a pickle and I needed a place to stay. And, mind you, I've always had some cash in my pocket. I was always providing, but I was never stable as far as housing and stuff like that. So I ran into a pickle and, I could have easily stayed maybe at a hotel or something like that. But, I made a few calls and My brother, my older brother, Adrian, may Allah be, please with him, keep him steadfast. And I want to mention this too. He's actually, I'm the middle child. There's three of us, all brothers, no sisters. Mm-hmm. He's actually a Muslim too. Alhamdulillah. He took Islam before me. Alhamdulillah. He's actually a Muslim too. And then my baby brother, who's 1 year younger than me, is starting to text me at 3:00 in the morning asking about Islam. May Allah keep him steadfast and guide him. It's a beautiful thing here, Brother Cedric, but my brother Adrian allowed me to stay with them for a little. And this was right before coronavirus, literally right before coronavirus hit. I moved in and I was I was in a tough state of mind at that point, very tough state of mind, and moved in with him. And I needed a place to I needed some time to figure out what the next move was, whether it was back in Chicago, California. I needed to know what my next move was going to be. And then all of a sudden, this changed the trajectory across the world, across the board. Coronavirus changed everything. Everything. Everywhere, and it changed everything. So when Corona hit is when I decided, okay, this might need to be maybe a little bit more long-term than I expected with my brother. And we came to agreement, and, I was living there, paying my part, paying some rent. And it brought us closer, if anything. Me and my brother Adrian, we would have many conversations. We would pray. But we would also talk a lot. I remember he would bring up things like, Ivan, wouldn't it just be, let me say this, brother, living in America is living in America. You can only imagine what comes with living in America. There's a lot of distractions all over the place in America, and goodness gracious, you can only imagine. And I remember having conversations with him sitting down, probably right after Isha, and we would talk late night, and he'd be like, man, just imagine, bro, what if we were just in the Middle East, just in the Middle East, walking around in our sandals, just different lifestyle, not have to worry about this and that, just imagine we were in the Middle East, bro. And I thought about it. I'm like, wow. I mean, born and raised in America, this is all I know. This is all that I know is America. So when he brought that up, it just kind of sparked something in my head. Like, man, that's amazing. But I don't think I'm going to live in the Middle East. Kid you not. A week later, I get a phone call from the very same brother that took me to take my Shahada, Brother Ward, that I spoke about earlier. And he always finds a way to contact. I switched so many phone numbers over the years. I have no idea how he does it, but he always finds a way to contact me. And his first question is always the same. He doesn't ask me how I'm doing. He doesn't ask anything. His first question is always, are you praying?
Mashallah.
Are you praying?
Mashallah.
Are you praying? That's his friend. And I hope my brother hears this, and I'll make sure he hears this. That's his first question all the time. So he calls me up. I'm like, who the heck is this? Philadelphia. I'm like, who's this? Are you praying? Oh my goodness, bro. Assalamu alaikum, Brother Ward. Are you praying? I'm like, I'm trying my best, bro. He's like, listen, what are you doing? I'm like, I'm working. I'm still in the car industry. I've been involved in the car industry, selling cars. It's like 2011, 2012. I was making fairly good money. And he calls me. He's like, look, I have an opportunity. You see what's going on with Corona. You see what's going on with these vaccines. Before you know it, and I kid you not, Brother Cedric, they're making it mandatory to take these vaccines. And I know there's a lot of politics going around about having mandatory vaccine before travel and stuff like that. And alhamdulillah, I made it before all that. He calls me and he tells me, I have an opportunity. I want you to move to Egypt so you can study. Wow. Now, this is going to involve you quitting everything and selling everything you have. And I'm thinking to myself, we were just talking about this with my brother Adrian a few days ago. How does this work? If that ain't Allah, if that ain't the work of Allah,
yes,
this is all willed. And it literally led up. There's no sugar around any of that. It literally led up to that. Like it happened just like I explained it. He calls me up. He's like, look, I have an opportunity. I have a place for you to stay. I know brothers. I want you to do this. Don't worry about anything. They'll take care of you. Allah will take care of you. And I'm thinking to myself, we're just programmed to work in America. We just know work, 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 clock in, clock out, clock out. Clock in, clock out. And sometimes we forget that Allah will provide. He truly will provide. And all I needed was my brothers in Islam. And I, I thought about the offer, and a week passes, and then he finally calls me up. He's like, what are you doing? I'm like, what do you mean? He's like, are you going to make this move? I'm like, well, yeah. He's like, then what are you doing? Because look, Ivan, because I told him, Warren, I'm thinking about moving to Philly where you're at because I have a job opportunity out there. He's like, look, bro, listen to me, Ivan. If you don't move right now, and I'll never forget this. This brother, he's very direct. He says, Ivan, if you don't move right now, you're going to be left with the paycheck and the regret. And when he said that, that was it. That was the ultimate for me. No paycheck is worth the experience that I'm doing right now, that I'm having right now. This money comes, this money goes, and ultimately Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will provide everything. And when he told me that, I thought to myself, you know what? This is a stinky job. At the end of the day, we can get another job. We're only numbers in these kind of corporate jobs. We're literally just numbers in these places. And we're not here to down talk anyone working. We have to work to live in this life. Mm-hmm. So I'm not, the working man is not a sucker. We have to work in this life. But when he said it to me, it resonated in a different way. If I don't leave, I'm going to be left with that paycheck and a regret. Because what can happen? I could possibly get addicted to this dunya again. Maybe meet someone who's a non-Muslim, over some kind of, we won't dissect too much, but a lot can happen. Getting right back into that cycle with work again, a lot can happen. Ultimately straying away from Islam. And I thought to myself, well, you know what? This is an opportunity of a lifetime. Let me sell everything I have. Let me quit this job. Because you know what? We say this in Islam. Allah will take something away, but he'll give you something right back. He'll give you something right back.
It's something better.
He'll give you something better, something way better. Absolutely. Alhamdulillah. And I left everything. I can't believe it till this day. I don't even think it's hit me yet. Brother Cedric, like I wake up and I'm literally across the world, away from my mother, away from my brother. But I feel so safe. I feel like I'm home because I am home. And, when brother said that to me, I quit the job, sold everything that I had, and I literally bought a one-way ticket to Cairo, Egypt. And I've been here for going on a little over 3 months here. And it's been 29 years old. Absolutely the best experience in my entire life.
So how long did you say you've been in there for now?
I've been here for a little over 3 months.
3 months. Okay. All right. Yes, talk to me about that. I'm pretty sure many people would be interested. When I've been there, it's just like it was kind of a shock. That's very interesting. So, like you living like America, you say, okay, I'm taking this chance. I'm going to go to Egypt. You don't even know what to expect. And you go to Cairo of all the places. So you arrive, you get out of the airport. Like, talk to me about it. Like, what happened? What was your emotion? How did you feel? Like, what did you see?
Well, I mean, I definitely stood out. I handle pressure well. So I don't mind the pressure. I don't mind the, obviously there's a bit of a barrier with the Arabic. I'm learning my Arabic now. Alhamdulillah, I'm starting to pick up a lot more. But there was obviously, a bit of a culture shock from both ends. When I got off the airplane, I was definitely, I didn't look like, obviously, I didn't look like I was from there. I had, I just didn't look like I had dreadlocks in my hair. It was crazy, brother Cedric. They knew that this kid was not from Egypt. And, I do remember getting off and just feeling so happy in my soul, just starting to read the Arabic around me, starting to hear the Arabic around me. It was absolutely beautiful. Obviously a culture shock, like I mentioned, both ends, but it was incredible. I felt, wallahi, in my heart, I felt like I was exactly, and to this day, I felt like I was exactly and where I'm exactly supposed to be right now in this life.
What a great feeling. And so now you're studying and working, or just studying? Like how's your day-to-day life?
Yeah. So I'll be honest. I actually, alhamdulillah, I just got a job here full time. So I'm working full time. I'm still studying my Arabic. We're studying Quran, we're studying Arabic. I have like 2-3 different tutors. I'm very, very busy. Maybe 2-3 different tutors for Arabic. I was in Markaz, and for those who don't know, Markaz is just like a school for Arabic. So I was in a school for Arabic, but everyone learns a bit differently. And I prefer 101 as opposed to accelerated class.
Yep.
I love 101 as opposed to accelerated class. And to each his own. And that's the beauty of it, brother Cedric. Not everyone teaches the same, and not everyone learns the same. I work better with a private tutor. And I did good in my markaz, I did good in my class, but I realized that, okay, I think I might be better with a private tutor. So I'm working full time right now for a very famous travel agency. Where they're I'm doing an interview podcast with Salaam alaikum. Sorry about that, brother Cedric. One of my brothers is talking right now.
I've never had this before on this podcast.
Or we can keep it on. Shout out to my brother Somalia. He's a big part of my life. He's incredible. I love that brother. Working full time. I'm still, like I mentioned, I'm studying with my tutors a few times a week here. I just started my business. I have a small business that I started here in Egypt. It's called, because remember I mentioned that I was in the car industry since 2011, 2012.
Yep.
And that little business in America, I named Drive with Ivan.
Nice.
I wanted to transition that here to Egypt, but I was studying the market and I realized that the used cars are not really the same as America. It's a bit of a different process. So in Egypt, for those who don't know, motorcycles are very, 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 very common and very popular here. So I opened my small little business here, and it's, instead of Drive with Ivan, it's called Ride with Ivan.
Yeah, that's good.
And what I do is I get motorcycles, I fix them up, and I sell them for a good price. And
nice.
I help the community out here, and it's been going good. So working full time, have my small business, still studying Arabic, and just trying to stay out the way and stay busy, brother Cedric. It's been incredible.
Do you know something, Ivan? Like, some people might not really understand or might really, think like, okay, that's crazy. And some other people might think you are living the dream. It's very funny because I was talking with my wife today, and I think I have this in me as well. I come from France. I'm French. That's my culture. I moved to Australia. So I've been like in Western countries of my life, but I was telling her, like, especially with what's happening at the moment, I can't take it anymore. The laws, this, like, all the politics that's involved. I'm just on with this. So, and especially she's Egyptian. She has all her family in Egypt. They're all there, and like I've been there. I really like. Now, when I get an opportunity, I'll probably move and stay there. So you're living the dream, man. Like it's, I'm really happy for you.
Wow.
Now, like give you even more, like and bring you more happiness, more studies, like more baraka into your business and in your life. That's great, man. There's no other way. I'm just very happy for you. I'm very happy to hear this. And I feel it really close because, I know Egypt now. So that's an awesome thing to see.
It means the world to me, Brother Cedric. I can hear the tone. It means absolutely the world to me. In Spanish, we have a saying, mi casa, su casa. My brother, if you ever need anything here in Egypt, brother, my house is your house. I'm here for you. You are my brother by Islam. Mm-hmm. Alhamdulillah. It definitely feels like a jackpot. I'm 29 and it's, I've only been here for 3 months, but, compared to any night that you could possibly think of on stage in a recording studio with some of the biggest artists you can think of in America, this is by far, this tops any of that. This is the greatest experience in my entire life. And may Allah keep us all steadfast, Brother Cedric.
Yeah. No, definitely. I would agree. I would relate to you. I know about music as well. I was in the industry in France, so yeah, I can relate to exactly what you're saying. And I really wish that Allah is going to give you even more, and we can, keep following your like what's happening. Maybe like in a few months, next year, who knows? So
of course.
In any case, I think like we're now reaching the end of the podcast, and I wish personally that this conversation has been very informative and meaningful for the listener out there that would be interested or wish to revert to Islam. That's what we all could wish for, inshallah. Ivan or Ayman, like I can call you Ayman, that's what we reached. Any last word you would like to share with us about Islam or anything you want to say in general, like, any statement, like the floor is yours, man.
I appreciate it, brother. Just a couple things here. We'll keep it brief. I had a sometimes you don't understand why certain things happen in life, guys. Sometimes it feels unexplainable. You question life. You question your creator. Sometimes I'll give a super brief story here. In 2015 and the year after, 2016, I will not dissect too much, but I'll give an idea. I lost 2 kids, and it was the lowest part of my life, the lowest part of my life. And at the time, we don't realize why things like this happen. A lot of people go through it. A lot of people experience this, and it didn't make any sense. I feel like it's a testimony a lot of men don't really speak about. It definitely did not make any sense to me. But we fast forward now at 29 years old, and I realized, in 2021, that it was probably the biggest blessing in my entire life that happened. So, when things happen in this life, and kind of like what we discussed earlier, when Allah takes something away, He gives you something better.
Yes.
So I certainly learned from that experience. It made me, in my opinion, a better man, a better Muslim. May Allah keep me steadfast, keep us all steadfast. So sometimes, you guys, my beloved brothers and sisters, we might not understand what the heck is happening at the moment, but may it not stray you away from the word and from your faith and from your creator. A lot of things happen in this life, and we have to understand that this is temporary. Dunya means temporary world. This is a temporary life. We have to try to live it as clean as we can and enjoy all the loved ones we have right now. And, things might happen. We might not understand why, but eventually there will be closure one way or another. And we understand then and there why things happen the way they did. And that happened to me. Fast forward now, the biggest blessing in my entire life. I'm very happy to be where I'm at right now. Inshallah, may Allah preserve us.
Amen.
Anyone out there have any questions for me? I've transitioned all my accounts, all my networks to pretty much dawah pages now. You know, I feel like I have a testimony a lot of young brothers can relate to. If anyone has any question out there, you can literally find me anywhere online. My handle is OTR Familia. That's family in Spanish. And you can find that anywhere online, Twitter, Instagram. I believe Facebook is OTR Familia ENT. That's EN like Nancy, T like Thomas. Any questions, any advice, you know, I want to let everyone know I'm not a, you know, shout out Mufti Menk. I'm not a Mufti Menk. I'm still a work in progress here myself, but, you know, we have to help each other out in this faith. Anybody have any questions, any kind of advice, I'm here. My testimonies are for you. You know, maybe your testimony is for me. I want to give a shout out to the brothers here, you know, Brother Cedric, Brother Adhi, you know, the brothers that gave me the opportunity to make this happen. You know, may Allah preserve these brothers. And I'm very, very, very thankful to be on this platform. Thank you guys so much.
That's awesome. So, dear listeners, if you're interested to find more information about the podcast or about Islam, I would invite you to go on our website. It's untoislam.com, untoislam.com. So don't hesitate to leave us a review and let us know what you like or even what you didn't like. It's fine. So please free to share with us any feedback. It is always appreciated and welcome. On this note, I will conclude the episode for today. Ayman, that was a pleasure to have you. Really, like, you know, I really had a great time listening to your stories. And I hope that we can have you again, maybe another time with a different topic, or maybe to follow whatever is happening at this time in your life, and hopefully see you married at this point. You can, like, you mentioned, like, all the places when we can reach you. So after this podcast, if you can send me, you know, on the chat we have together, like all by writing, so we can put it, like, you know, in the notes of this podcast. So anyone who wants to reach out to you can go in the notes of the podcast and find your information also directly there. So for all of you listeners out there, and for you, Ayman, may the peace of Allah be with you all. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. We wish you a very blessed day, and may Allah guide us all. Ameen. Assalamu alaikum.
Ameen, brother. Wa alaikum salam, my brother. Thank you guys so much. Thank you, brother.